again about the Tao Te Ching. We're going to talk about the book. Basically, this is a book study of Change Your Thoughts and Change Your Life, and Wayne Dyer's perspective and reading of the Tao Te Ching and how he thinks we should apply it to everyday life. And I've been studying this myself to get an understanding of how this might work in my world, but wanted to share it with others. And so you may already have read the book. You may already know about the Tao Te Ching. You may think that Western culture is not really the best interpretation of Tao Te Ching, but it is what it is. This is what we're talking about. And by no means am I an expert in any one of those areas. Theology, Chinese culture or religion or anything. I'm just on a journey trying to get a better understanding and find my way and certainly change my own life through my beliefs and my thoughts. So that being said, what we're going to do, I'm going to jump into I'm going to show you a slide and we're going to talk about the verse 4, chapter 4 of this book, and my take on that. And again, I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing my own take on things, and you may have your own take. But that's the thing. This is a personal journey, and you need to find your way. I'm just sharing some thoughts, and maybe it's relevant. So let's pull up the slide here. Okay, so let's present this. Okay, the fourth verse. The Tao is empty, but inexhaustible, bottomless, the ancestor of it all. Within it, the sharp edges become smooth. The twisted knots loosen. The sun is softened by a cloud. The dust settles into place. It is hidden, but always present. I do not know who gave birth to it. It seems to be the common ancestor of all, the father of things. The Tao is empty, but inexhaustible. And again, last week, I believe, or several weeks ago, we may have mentioned how I really see this tied to the yin and yang. So the Tao is empty, but inexhaustible. I mean, to me, that's this juxtaposition of two opposing thoughts. It's bottomless. The ancestor of it all. So it's where it comes from, within, sorry about that. Within it, the sharp edges become smooth. So by understanding it, there's a couple interesting things that we'll talk about today that I think this really captures this piece of it. Within the Tao, the sharp edges become smooth. The twisted knots loosen. The sun is softened by a cloud, and the dust settles into place. So this part of the verse, to me, says a lot, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. It's hidden but always present. Again, that yin and yang opposites kind of approach. We do not know who gave birth to it. It seems to be common ancestor of all, the father of things. So I like that. It's interesting because, again, it is everything to everyone and nothing at all. So one of the things I like, and I mentioned this before, is that this to me, to some degree, applies some of the ideas that are shared within Western religion. Excuse me, but isn't tied to a specific denomination or specific people per se. It's just, it is what it is. So anyhow, I find that kind of interesting. So I'm going to stop presenting here. And I'm going to share a couple things that I found interesting in this chapter of the book. So I highlighted a few thoughts. The Tao is the source of all life, yet it is empty and limitless and cannot be constrained, quantified, or measured. It is empty and limitless and cannot be constrained, quantified, or measured. This life-giving energy of creation, provides a profound source of joy that's accessible at all times. What would happen if we had joy accessible at all times? The fourth verse of the Tao invites you to consider rearranging your thoughts about who you are. It seems to be saying that cultivating an awareness of the infinite aspect of yourself is the way to tap into the limitless source of creative energy that flows through you. For example, you may want to help a less fortunate person improve their day-to-day existence, but you do not believe that you have time or energy to do so because of who you are and what you presently do. So have you ever wanted to give back and volunteer, but you found, but you found that your days were too busy, that your family time was too draining or needed too much from you? Well, in this verse, I think it talks about how just by doing it, everything seems to work out. So let's go into another piece that I highlighted. Consider all things that seem to be a problem from the perspective of the eternal Tao. And this gets into something interesting. Believing that there is a shortage of prosperity is a signal to think in terms of the inexhaustible source, the Tao. Just like everything else on our planet, money is available in limitless quantities. Know this and connect to the bottomless supply. Do it first in your thoughts by affirming, everything I need is here. Prosperity thoughts are energetic instructions to access your infinite self, so actions will follow them. So this is, to me, this is very interesting because I train people on sales. And if you have an issue in your mind or a belief in your mind about money, it's rude to talk about money. $100 is a lot of money. $500 is a lot of money. Whatever it is, if it's in your mind and you think that and you have an issue with money, then you're going to have challenges being what I consider a high performance salesperson. Well, in going through this process and this learning for myself, what I also realized was there are a lot of people out there in this world that have a poverty mentality, okay? And because of that scarcity, they hold things tight-fisted, and nothing can get in and get out. So what you have is what you have, and that's all you'll ever have. When you open your hand and allow money to flow in and out, you attract more money. And so it's overcoming, getting past the thought that I have to hold on to this with all my might, and we're always going to have this money and it's going to be great, whatever. And the other thing is, as a business owner, I know that there are a lot of companies out there that really worry about competition. And at the end of the day, you know what? There's more business out there than we could ever do or service. And so it's kind of silly to be concerned with competitors. It's kind of silly to be concerned with not having enough business or competition, because there's more business out there than you could ever shake a stick at. And so it's just a matter of getting out there. But in my mind, that's a commodity or poverty mentality in business. But we also have that in our personal life, feeling like you have to shop around, feeling like you have to get the best bargain, and you waste a ton of time and energy price shopping and comparison shopping and this, that, and the other thing, when at the end of the day, maybe your time is worth more by spending it with your friends and family instead of saving 25 cents on, whatever. And the thing is, by spending your money, there's more right around the corner, because just as it says about here, it's a bottomless supply. There's more money out there in the world than you can ever get or spend. And so don't be so concerned about the little bit of money that I have today. Let it flow and get out there and you'll get more. So rather giving energy to illness and perceived misfortunes, stay with the Tao. Stay with what can never be used up. Stay with that which is the Father of all things, the creative source of all. It will work with and for you as you have it in your thoughts, then in your feelings, and finally in your actions. And so it's interesting, because just like in sales training, this really ties in. It's first in your thoughts. You have to change your thoughts, change your beliefs, and then you start to internalize those thoughts and beliefs. And then they finally become who you are. You own those thoughts and beliefs. And so this really aligns with that. But I think it's so true across the board in every area of business and your personal life, to be honest with you. I see a lot of people out there that are poverty mentality, and all they have to do is change their beliefs and start internalizing it, and then believing and living a decent lifestyle instead of hoarding, and instead of being so cheap that they can't afford to pay for whatever. So anyhow, be an infinite observer. When acknowledged as a sign of change, worry is transitory. It's simply part of the world of the changing. If you view your life from the vantage point of an infinite observer, concerns, anxieties, and struggles blend into the eternal mix. From this ageless perspective, picture how important the things you feel depressed about now will be in 100 years, 1,000 years, or 1,000,000, or an uncountable number of years. Wow. So to me, that's really, really powerful. So let's say you have a problem now. So let's say you don't have enough money and you're struggling to figure out how you're going to make ends meet or whatever. You have a flat tire in your car, or, you had a breakup with whoever. So that's really horrible today. It's really horrible. But if you step back and you change your thoughts, can you say, man, this is a really big deal today. I hate this. It sucks. But what's it going to look like in 5 years? Will I even remember this? Will it be a big deal? And then what about 10 years? Is this going to affect my life for the next 10 years or 20 years? Am I going to look back and say, this is silly, I don't even remember what happened? What about 50 years, 100 years, or indefinite number of years? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, for my grandkids, whatever problem I have today, is it even going to be relevant, or they understand, or they even care about this problem I have today? Probably not. So how can we step back and look at the big picture and say, well, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't really that big of a deal? Change your thoughts. How would that change your life? I think it would in a big way. Do the Tao now. Wisdom is knowing I am nothing. Love is knowing I am everything. And between the two, my life moves. And while you're living, stay as close to love as you can. So anyhow, I guess the challenge is today, this week, try to find a situation where you get stressed out, where you're frustrated, where you're upset, and step back and look at the bigger picture. Is this really horrible? Is it something that's going to really hinder my life long term? Excuse me. Or is it just a challenge today, right now, for these few minutes, or however long you get emotionally involved, you get caught up in the moment, you get frustrated and upset? Because at the end of the day, it's how you react to things. And so that's the thing that I think is so great about this chapter. It's like, if you react differently, you'll get different outcomes. And why not react in a positive way that's going to serve you, instead of a negative way that's going to undermine everything that you do, right? And hold you back. So anyhow, thank you for watching and joining us. Again, this was, we're doing a book study of Wayne Dyer's book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. And it's a study of an interpretation of the Tao Te Ching. And I am doing this partially for a Facebook group called Be the Change. So that being said, if you are not familiar with Be the Change, please go into Facebook and join our group. We're going to talk about this a little more in discussion in the group. And I appreciate any comments that you may give us. And also feel free to subscribe to our channel. It's my personal channel, and I'll cover personal things. I'll cover business. I'm going to cover every single chapter once a week of the Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life book. And, peace, love, and respect to you. I wish you very well in the new year. So happy New Year and have a great day.